All right, well, up next, why did a bunch of people on conservative Twitter decide to bully a random TikToker? So, a few days ago, a small TikToker named Julia Mazur, who had about 11,000 followers at the time, she posted this video, and it for some reason just blew up and became super controversial, and conservatives were dunking on it. But before I even comment on it or we get into any of the controversy, just listen to it. I want people to hear it for themselves and decide if they find it outrageous.
It's 10:45 a.m. on a Saturday. I am 29 and single, and I don't have kids yet. Here's what your Saturday morning looks like when you're single at 29 and you don't have a kid running around the house. I didn't rise from my bed until 10:15. Every time I thought, I should probably get up and do something. I thought, why? Nobody's making me. I'm not missing out on anything. I went to Beyonce last night, and I didn't get home until 1 a.m. And I danced and drank my little heart out, and I didn't pay a babysitter to watch my kids as I did that. And I woke up a tad hungover this morning, which is probably why I was in bed for so long. And I was just scrolling on my phone, and I saw a picture of shakshuka, and I thought, you know what sounds really good? Maybe I'm gonna learn how to make shakshuka today. Because I have no plans, and I don't have kids, and I don't have a husband, and I don't have errands to run. I can go to the grocery store and learn how to make shakshuka. So that's on my agenda today. Also on my agenda, probably a rewatch of some Real Housewives of New York. I'm also doing a rewatch of Normal People on Hulu, which is really spicy and I highly recommend. Weirdly, I'm into this documentary on Netflix about blue zone countries. So I've got a pretty stacked day. Anyway, I say all this to say, whenever I'm hard on myself about why I'm not married and I don't have kids, and I should be further along at 29, almost 30, I wouldn't want to do anything else this Saturday. And I know that you can do all these things when you have kids and you're married, and I understand, but the effortlessness and ease of my life, just kind of focusing on myself and the shakshuka I want to make or the Beyonce concert I want to go to, really pays off when I'm hard on myself for not being where society tells me I should be in life.
So, I would have watched this video if I'd come across my feed. I probably would have just swiped away and shrugged and just not really cared about it, right? Because, okay, some lady doesn't have kids yet. Here's how she spent her Saturday. Okay, me moving on with my life. But some people were furious about it, and also some people interpreted it as her shaming people who have kids or suggesting that her single lifestyle is superior to theirs. I didn't interpret it that way. What was your reaction to this video before you saw even all the backlash?
Well, I didn't see it before all the backlash, but I am used to this kind of backlash. I don't know if your algorithm's like this, perhaps because I am not married and I openly do not want kids. TikTok tends to show me a good bit of this kind of content. And so I see almost daily the way that simply celebrating your life when you choose to not pursue those paths makes people lose their minds. And so when I saw this coming across my feed, I immediately was just kind of concerned for this girl because, you know, I have been saying I didn't want kids since I was really little, like 6, 7 years old. And the amount of backlash I've faced for that and the amount of just like people talking down to you, right? You'll change your mind. You're talking about you'll meet somebody and want them, yada, yada, yada. I found very infuriating throughout my life as if I was just too young and stupid and feminine to know my own mind and what I might want. And so I've always been pretty open about those choices because I am thick-skinned and because I'm pretty passionate about showing other women there are other ways to live your lives outside of what society tries to box you into, where you can be happy and you can thrive. And I don't think that there's anything in that narrative that is anti being a parent, that is anti getting married. I think that that is a fine path for many people. I also think it's a horrible path for some people that we shouldn't be pushing on absolutely anybody. But I've seen this time and again, no matter how much the woman in this given role online is just trying to bend over backwards to say like, nothing against parents, I'm just celebrating my own life. It is always taken as a flat out assault.
Just not yet.
Yeah, she's
just not doing it yet.
Well, and when I finally watched it, that's what stood out to me with her is this isn't even this, right? This girl isn't even like me where she's like, rah, no kids. She's actually saying, I would really like to be married. I would really like to have kids. I'm often hard on myself because I'm 29, as if that's so old. Because I'm 29 and I'm not there yet. I'm not where society tells me I should be, and that makes me feel bad. But I'm finding ways to appreciate this season of my life and still find joy and still celebrate it. And they can't even let her have that, right? And getting upset about a woman saying something like that and you're upset is akin to me if I saw a woman talking about her day with her baby, being like, oh my God, I'm being attacked for not having kids. And she said my life is worthless. Meanwhile, people actually will come say that to you when you don't have kids, right? They'll be like, you're worthless. You're going to live alone. No man would want you. I mean, the things they say to women who just simply don't want to live their cutout lifestyle, it's absurd to me. And so to me, this video was a part of a growing trend, a status quo, and I'm so fed up with it. And I'm glad we're going to talk about it today because I actually have a lot of pretty deep thoughts on this subject matter.
So first we should get into the exact reaction. So here's what Matt Walsh, the Daily Wire host and right-wing commentator, blasted out to his 2.4 million followers. He said, her life doesn't revolve around her family and kids, so instead it revolves around TV shows and pop stars. Worst of all, she's too stupid to realize how depressing this is. He continues, if you don't have a family, at least do something interesting with your time. These people have absurd amounts of free time, and they do absolutely nothing with it, wasting their lives staring at little glowing boxes. Absolutely soul-crushing. His original tweet has 30 million views. So other people like Tim Pool, the very popular right-wing YouTube host, said, it's a cope. Her life is meaningless. You don't need kids, but she has no purpose. I have a lot of thoughts on this reaction, but one, it seems kind of unhinged to find some TikToker with 11,000 followers simply posting about their own life, not even engaging in the political debate or anything, and then blast them out to your followers and get 30 million people to view your dunk on them. And then to call her stupid or to otherwise lament her, say her life is meaningless. I mean, she just described a lazy Saturday. We all have that. Nobody is productive. For all you know, she's a nurse or something that is very productive in her life. I have no idea what she does, but I'm saying like they jumped to all these conclusions and attacked her, and it just felt very mean-spirited to me. It felt like bullying, like cyberbullying. They cyberbullied this random tiny TikToker with barely any audience and sent her millions of views from haters for a video where she didn't say anything offensive or outrageous. She just was like, this is what my life is like, and I'm trying to see the upside of it, and it's where I'm at right now, and don't beat yourself up. And I hate this. I want to get off this ride.
It screams you're very unhappy with your own life and your own choices if this is your reaction to this video. Also, for Matt Walsh to criticize somebody at staring at a box all day, I'm pretty sure he does nothing but angry tweet all day, every day. Like, how hypocritical. I mean, and again, you're right. To say her life is meaningless, you have no idea what brings her meaning. You know what her full life looks like. She's finding joy in a simple life and a simple day in her life. And I think that that's wonderful. And I think it's ridiculous that you feel the need to shame somebody and to criticize them to that extent and to try to send hate their way because you are so triggered by them not living the life that you think a woman should be living, even though she says she wants to be living that life eventually. Like, that is the craziest part about me. And it's also so extremely hypocritical for these like trad right types to be criticizing this, right? Like, they're the ones always running around saying women are too promiscuous, women don't have high enough standards. It seems like she does have high standards. It's taking her time to pick the right person. And guess what? When you're doing that, it means you're not out with a date every single night. It probably means that you're going to have a lot more nights alone because you are being picky about who you spend your time with and who you build into your world. So all of this from start to finish, I think is just horrible behavior. And I think it's becoming a part of a larger trend on the right that is just anti-woman, to be frank. And it's really starting to turn me off. I mean, I told you this a while back, Brad, but I remember when I first started working around GOP politics, 2012, 2013, having been raised a true free market, like limited government type Republican, and thinking that's what Republicans were. And my whole life, people saying Republicans are racist or Republicans don't like minorities. And I was like, what? No, that's not true. We do, right? And then I started working around grassroots Republican policies and working around different groups in Tennessee and traveling and speaking to them and them saying like very anti-immigrant things to me or very anti-Muslim things to me and being so baffled by it, where I was like, wait, I like Muslims. Like, what is this? You know? And it was sort of that populist Trump fervor that ended up taking over the party in 2016, but it was already latently there. And I remember just thinking like, wow, I guess parts of the GOP were racist this whole time and I had no idea. And I feel like I'm having a similar thing happen right now in the past year or so with being a woman, you know, where I've always had people on the left say, like, the GOP hates you. Why would you be a Republican? They don't like women. They don't support women's issues. And I've always just pushed back on that. But increasingly, like, it does appear that way. It sure does. It seems like a lot of people on the right really do just hate women. They really don't want them to have choices. They do not see them as equals. And I think that this, you know, rush by people like Tim Pool and Matt Walsh to dunk on this woman, these guys did that because they know that's what their audience wants. Plain and simple. These are people who live and die by clicks. They live and die by outrage. They know that a woman making choices that are not getting married at 20 years old, popping out a bunch of kids and cooking in the kitchen is going to outrage a number of their followers. And it's, to me, it's just so sick. And I am baffled by it because I think, you know, I don't think people like Tim Pool or Matt Walsh are like brilliant, you know, GOP strategists or anything. Like, their goal is not really to do anything but enrich themselves. But for people who are kind of working around the Republican right, you know, you would think that would be their goal. And they don't seem to realize that women are 50+% of this country. They are the main organizers. They are the main financial purchasers in their homes. They are incredible communicators. We keep in touch, right? And we are going to be whipped into a fury by this kind of sentiment that keeps building on the right. People saying overturn the 19th Amendment. People saying women need to get back in the kitchen. People saying women are worthless if they're not married by 25. The right promoting actual, like, I don't want to say pedophiles, but like actual groomers and actual rapists and sexual harassers. This is a problem. And I cannot understand how anybody who's in like the evangelical base, which has so much overlap with the right, is not standing up and calling this out. I think it's disgusting. I think it is a very short-sighted tactic. And yeah, I'm sick of it. And I want to add one other thing about the kid piece, which is that, you know, this woman got called selfish all over Twitter, all over TikTok because of this video. And I think that that's a ludicrous thing to allege. I think there are many people who have kids for very selfish reasons. I think there are many people who are terrible parents who should never have reproduced. I think you can have a kid and be a parent and still be very, very selfish. And on the other hand, I think there are many people, me included, who have chosen not to have kids, even though that's a pretty tough call given the backlash you get in society, the condemnation, given the fact that it does limit the number of romantic partners you can have. Like, I've broken up with people that I might have married otherwise because we did not agree on the kid thing. And that's a huge sacrifice. But I don't believe that I can do the things I've been called to do in life and be a great parent at the same time. I have other ways I want to influence the world and make a difference. I have other callings on my life. And I firmly believe you shouldn't have kids unless they can be your end all be all. That's actually a selfless choice, right? So you can make both selfless or selfish decisions when it comes to whether or not to have a kid. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with making a selfish choice when it comes to not having a kid. You're not hurting anybody. As Ayn Rand would say, I mean, I'm pretty close to being an objectivist. I think that as long as you are not hurting anybody, it's fine to have selfish pursuits, and those can also move society further. Whereas if you have a kid for selfish reasons, that actually can do much more harm to society, both in harming the kid and in how that kid might act out in society. So it's this whole selfish, selfless debate needs to be radically flipped on its head.
Okay, well, Julia actually responded to Matt Walsh and the other people dragging her online. Here was the video she put out in response to all the hate and backlash that she's been getting.
My name is Julia and I'm 29 and single. Yesterday, someone named Matt Walsh decided to repost a TikTok video that I posted to his 2.4 million followers on X, formerly known as Twitter. And the way that his followers bullied me in the comments, reached out to me on social media, threatened me, was honestly abhorrent. Some of his followers said that I was gonna die alone. I should actually die and never leave my house. I should be sexually assaulted. I'm pathetic. I'm a whore. And that I was dead behind my eyes. Honestly, that one kind of made me laugh because I use Kosas concealer and I thought that it was working. No, but really, if you haven't watched the video, I suggest you watch it. It's all about how I, a 29-year-old single female, decided to spend my Saturday watching reality TV, learning how to cook shakshuka, and sleeping in until 10 a.m. And these people were really, really, really riled up about my choices on a Saturday. But here's the thing about social media. While it can be a really crazy place, which I experienced yesterday, it's a place where there's content for everyone. Here's who I'm creating content for. I'm creating content for people who are taking their time creating the lives that they want for themselves. Because it's the life that they want want, not something that society has deemed correct. People who are feeling anxious in life because they haven't met their person yet or started a family aren't rushing or settling to meet someone because some internet troll is telling them that they're going to die alone. And you know what? There's a 40 to 50% divorce rate in the US, and I believe that figuring out who you are first and foremost and meeting your partner at that point is going to decrease that divorce rate. And if you're lucky enough to have the family and friends and support that I do, none of us are going to die alone. And I believe that we're all going to meet our people, and we're going to do it living life by our own terms. Life's too short to be living life figuring out what Matt Walsh wants us to do, or what some internet troll behind their keyboard is saying. If anyone is wondering, the shakshuka I made was delicious, and I'd love to share the recipe if anyone's interested.
So I have a couple things, just a couple thoughts based on that. One, I'm sorry for what she's had to go through. When you go viral like this, it's a pretty nasty experience. I will say Matt Walsh is not responsible for his followers who engage in like threats or say horrible, horrible things. They're responsible for that, not Matt. The same way that when I quote tweet somebody, if somebody who follows me jumps in and replies something horrific, like that's not my fault. Now, should he be more mindful before sicking his followers on somebody such a small account or somebody with such minor fan base of their own? Yes, but it's ultimately, I don't think it would be fair to completely blame him for how his followers responded. But I thought she handled that with grace. I think it's fun watching normies interact with like the Matt Walshes of the world because they're kind of bewildered that some internet personality could get so worked up by their random video. And I hope that this ends up being a positive marketing experience for her. She has a podcast about dating, and she seems nice. So I hope that it ends up having a positive net impact for her, even though she has certainly had to deal with a flood of internet sewage.
Yeah, I mean, she seems very poised in that video, very kind, very gracious, and definitely well above the caliber of Matt Walsh and his supporters. I've also been at the end of Matt Walsh's supporters, and they tend to be pretty nasty. And while I agree with you, it's not his fault. Individuals are responsible for their own actions. I do think a person's fan base speaks volumes about them and their ideology, right? I think you can see if somebody's pushing a message of respecting others and treating them well or not. So I don't think that he's somebody that we should be looking up to, and I don't think his message is very helpful at any point in time. But I'm glad to see her handle this well. It is very funny. I've seen a number. They often go after young girls on TikTok, not just Matt, but several people on the Daily Wire shows. And it's so funny when these like young TikTok girls realize that this like random conservative fringe person is talking about them because they've never heard of them. They're always completely baffled. They're like, why is this guy so upset? What is going on? It's kind of funny just to watch normies interact with them. And again, I think this is something people on the right need to be aware of. Just because you get a lot of clicks and views does not mean you're moving things along. In fact, you're often doing the opposite and turning people against the other things that you're supposed to care about, which I don't know if the right still claims this, but it used to be free market capitalism and limited government and actually protecting people from oppression and ensuring they have their ability to pursue the American dream, whatever that looks like for them. So this is the kind of thing that, when older people on the right see this kind of stuff, you need to know these people are losing you fast. You need to find people who actually are normal, who can connect with normal people, who are principled, and who don't behave like this, because I think it's super detrimental to right-wing ideology and views when this is the kind of thing that goes viral, when this is what people are introduced to on the right. So I love to see that she handled herself well. I too hope it benefits her. I hope that everybody can show each other more grace. I think being a parent is really hard. And it has serious downsides and it has serious upsides. And if you choose it, you need support. And I also think being childless can be really hard and have serious downsides and serious upsides, and you need support. And I just wish we could, lean on each other more and involve each other in one another's lives and not have this, we're not at war. You shouldn't be at war with people. It shouldn't offend you or trigger you if they choose to live their lives differently than you. If that does bother you, maybe examine your choices. I do think there's a number of people who kind of go through their life just jumping through the hoops society tells them they should jump through without ever actually thinking, what do I actually want for myself? What do I want my life to look like? And they're kind of cowardice in that way. And then they're really bothered when they encounter somebody who is brave enough to do it differently, who's able to go against the grain, who's willing to make those calculations and take those risks. So just examine that. If you're somebody who's really bothered by this video, you really shouldn't be. Nobody's attacking parents or having kids or being married in this video, or most of the other ones along this vein that I've seen. If you see somebody celebrating being childless and the benefits to that, cheer with them, just as we're supposed to cheer with you when you have your gender reveal parties and your baby showers, right? It shouldn't just be one-sided. Seriously, like, get it together. So I'll leave it there.
If somebody died at a gender somebody died at a gender reveal
Died
this
how?
past week. Yeah, they had a plane, and so they had a plane, and gender reveals are out of control, folks. They had a plane that was like flying and releasing the color smoke or whatever, and the plane crashed, and the pilot died. It's very sad.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, take it down a notch with your gender reveals, okay? Like, I'll celebrate your childbirth, but good grief, that is over the line. All right.
I don't think airplanes need to be involved in your gender reveal.
It really is.